Alright, hey, if anyone here is watching from a VOD, don't be intimidated by any long run times. What we're doing here is essentially a FGO speed run, but really it's more of a tutorial or walkthrough on how to get through part 1 and 2. Catch up to the game pretty quickly, because I've had various people over time asking me lots of different questions, so I'm answering all that stuff. You'll learn how to play the game super well, while also watching me just kind of go fast through it. And I'll tell you how to go fast through it if you're relatively new and want to catch up. This should be the most helpful thing you can possibly use for learning how to do stuff. We're going to start right at the beginning on a brand new, absolutely fresh, never before touched account. For proof, look, I even have to tell them I'm from the United States and agree to their privacy policy to start. So let's go. And so it begins. Now, if you're new to the game, first thing I'm going to suggest that you do is actually read the cutscenes and stuff. Read the story, all that good stuff. It's super worth it. Well, I'll when we get to certain parts that I think you could probably skip because good, I'll point them out. But Fuyuki, at least the very beginning, quite worth it. Now, first things first, we have to go through the tutorial for the game. And what I'll do is I'll just tell you guys exactly what the tutorial will tell you, but I'll do it in an easier way. Simply, they're telling you that each servant starts with 5 cards. You will then draw 5 random cards from your pool of 15 cards across your servants. And then you get to create what your servants do at that time. Also, fun fact, this used to be the default only speed that you could do. Ooh. Default only speed that you could do in a tutorial. Don't know why the game just died there. Also, you saw that I'm using the forbidden technology of an emulator because my phone sucks. The Wi-Fi where I live sucks, so better choice. Anyway, continuing what I was saying. So, like I said, you're going to get 5 cards from a pool of 15 from your servants, your 3 servants there, and then you're going to get the next 5 cards randomly selected from the pool of 10 that are left, and then the last 5 cards that are left. And that's every 3 turns work like that. The only thing that interrupts it is if you, oh god, I gotta do this turn. The only thing that'll interrupt that flow is if one of your servants dies and a new one comes in, or if you swap one servant out for another. Otherwise, it will continue that flow with your 3 servants cards and cycling through them randomly until the 3rd turn is over, reshuffle the cards, redeal them, yada yada. Now, it's telling you that here that if you use 3 cards from the same servant, you get an extra attack from them for extra damage, NP gain, star creation, all that stuff. We can go over that a little bit more intensely afterwards, but first, I want to talk about the card mechanics a little bit more in depth than what the tutorial is. So, this is a very simple thing they're doing here. If you have 3 quick cards, you get 10 critical stars for the next round. Just straight up, along with whatever critical stars are also made from your quick cards. Now, the tutorial here doesn't actually make critical stars from their cards for some reason, but it's weird. If you have 3 arts cards, then everyone involved with an arts card gets a straight up 20% NP charge boost to solve their bars, which is usually something you want to do 9 times out of 10. That's a really good thing to do, because the strongest thing that any servant that you have can do is their Noble Phantasm, and more often than not, you want to have that happening as often as possible. In fact, here's our first Noble Phantasm with Arturia, and you'll see why you want to do them, because she was dealing like what? 1 to 2,000 damage with a normal card, and then this Noble Phantasm just finished the fight. Ekusu Kariba! And there we go. So, what it doesn't tell you, a couple things that are a little more in-depth. The card you start with determines the power of the following cards. If you start with an arts card, start with 100% scaling, and then the next two cards will scale, increasing with that. So like 100%, 150%, 200%. If you start with a quick card, then you start with lower scaling. Quick has lower scaling to it. By quick is generally archetype. And then if you start with a buster card, you start with 150% scaling, and then the next two cards scale more past that. If you have 3 buster cards, you get extra scaling on all 3 and do much more damage. I don't know what name to put. Speed McFast. There we go. Great name. So, those are the most basic of basic mechanics that the game starts off tutorializing you with. Now, to add a little bit extra to it, when I said that the second and third cards will scale harder than the first card, that is true, which means that typically you want to make sure that whoever you want the most critical star creation from, or NP gain from, or damage from, whether it's a quick, an art, buster card that you end on, is your most powerful servant, or the servant that you want those that can create those things the most. Some servants have better star creation than others, some servants have better NP gain than others, some servants just deal more damage than others. So it's important to order your cards in a smart way, and not just do it kind of blindly. Now, if you're just starting the game, this is your very first servant that you actually own. What you saw before was nothing but a training program. We don't have those servants. Instead, we have Mash Kirie Light here. That is our servant. He is the only Shielder class servant in the entire game. Oh, thank God, we can speed up the battle speed. I was wondering when that would happen. I haven't done the tutorial in a very long time. And guess what? Your very first starting servant, your very free servant, is very, very, very good. As we get started here and eventually get to rolling for stuff, servants and whatnot, I'm going to tell you the servants that you should focus on throwing experience at. Mash is one of those servants. Good. Wrong. She's going to start off a little bit weak, just because her max level is only going to be 30 to start with, and 30 is a low level when 90 is the highest level that you get at without using Holy Grails. Well, but Ash is a servant that will absolutely be extremely useful for you. She has very good defense to support your servants, and she has some invincibility, she has a taunt eventually, stuff like that. So this is one thing that I want to talk about with card order. If I went arts, quick, I would get some extra critical stars at the end. By going arts, quick, arts, I gain extra NP because of the arts card at the 3rd place and the 1st place. And if I went quick arts, I'd do less damage, but gain ultimately more critical stars. So, like I said, remember, if you start with a buster card, more damage. If you start with an arts card, more MP gain. If you start with a quick card, less damage, but more star gain. The fact of the matter is, you should pretty much never ever start with a quick card unless it's a Noble Phantasm. Or if you're doing a quick, right? In order to gain a bunch of critical. Because unless you're guaranteeing 50 critical stars, 50, if you're not guaranteeing that, then you're not guaranteeing crits. Anything less than 50 means you're going to leave it up to chance for whether a crit can happen or not. Oh cool, we get our first summon. So, when you get to this point of the game, your first summon, the game will give you a free summon, and it will guarantee 1 4-star servant. And the best one is Heracles. Any other 4-star servant is a lot weaker than him on this tutorial banner. Heracles is absolutely the one you want the most. So if you're willing to go into your app data, clear the cache, and then restart over and over, you can keep making new accounts and re-rolling until you get your Heracles. It's a Momo Cat. That's fine for me. Oh, Uriel. Now that's a good pool. Uriel's one of the servants I would highly suggest leveling up. The rest of them, take it or leave it. So far. A second to Momo Cat? Wow. NP2 to start off. Now that's kind of lucky. Now, again, I'm skipping through all this stuff. I would suggest that you guys that are actually the game, just, you know, take your time, enjoy it and stuff like that. But this is, like I said, ultimately kind of a tutorial guide on how to A, play the game pretty well, and B, most importantly, catch up. Because, I mean, if you haven't been playing the game and you're new here, catching up should be a priority for you to get yourself started with the game. Because until you've caught up, you're gonna be ineligible for a lot of different events and stuff. Now, we finally have the friends list open. And here's what I'm gonna suggest. Here's what I suggest to you. Find yourself a strong, high-level Morgan Le Fay, like this one right here. And it's nice if they also have something like a Merlin or a Castor Artoria. In fact, I'll be a little extra picky and look for one. And if you hold on over the character, you should be able to. Maybe not. Maybe you have to go to confirm support setup. But what I want to do is... There we go. If you go to confirm support setup, you can then look at their craft essence equipped and see what it does. Look for something that starts with MP charged at 50% at least with that Morgan Le Fay. Do those two things, and trust me, you will be happy. Let's see. I mean, that last one's perfectly. So yeah, let's just grab this one, our quest. I'm not going to be too overly picky here. And what we're going to do is once we beat this stage, we're going to do a thing called following. There are two different things you can do, either friend or follow, and I'll explain them a little more in depth. In the meantime, the reason why I suggest this, there are two attacking servants that I highly suggest that you look for. They are Morgan Le Fay, and they are... And here you'll see exactly why. Anyway, they're Morgan Le Fay and they are Arjuna Alter. They are both berserkers, so they're very easy to look for. They're in the same category, so it's not hard at all. And the reason you want them is because they will make the early game go by fast and easy. Quick and easy. That's obviously what you want to do. Catching up. Yeah? Yeah. So, here we go. And they give you a little tutorial. So there's friend request and following. Following means that you get to use their friend servants and you get to use their noble phantasm and everything like that. All the bells and whistles that come along with that servant. In main story stuff, but not in free quests, and that's kind of an issue. At least not till later. If you're looking at this in the future of the NA stuff, eventually it is going to actually let you it is going to actually eventually allow you to just use the NP of your support servant, whether they are on your friends list or not. But for the time being that I am doing this, that's not possible. Alright, we're going to do a couple little quality of life things. If you go to my room, you can then Scroll to the bottom. Go to game options, and high quality is nice. This. Yeah, that's fine. Text speed I don't care about because I'm skipping everything. Spoilers are fine for me. Eartron dresses are fine for me. Don't need pre-battle confirmation. Okay, so this is an important one. Automatically display advantageous class. Turn that shit off. Straight up. Just absolutely turn that off. You don't want that on because what it's going to do is, let's say you're fighting some sabers. It's going to put you on the archer class stuff when looking for a support. Or if you're fighting archers, it's going to put you on lancers and so on and so forth. And in the early game, especially, I don't give a shit about any of those. What am I looking for? Morgan Le Fay. That's it. Is Morgan Le Fay in any of there? No? Get out of my face. The other thing you can look for is this right here. This is Heracles, and the only thing that he better be equipped with is this Castle of Snow. If he doesn't have this, ignore him. If he does have this, that's actually worth getting onto your friends list to help you with some boss fight difficulties. So actually, you know what? NP5, he may not have 10-10-10 on skills, but NP5, Holy Grail, Bond, CE, Heracles, works for me. And hey, look, we can even start throwing some servants in here and just having them there because our total cost isn't going to go up too high. Simple, simple. And we can even equip one of our CEs. Why not? Do we need to? Not really, but I'm just showing that you can, right? Zhuge Liang MP, then Morgan MP will do more damage because it has a deep... Okay. So, early game Fate Go, your general strategy, I would say, is going to be put Berserker in party, hit enemy with red card. Let me demonstrate our strategy for probably the first, like, 3 or 4 entire storyline parts. There you go. This is what's gonna happen in every fight. Put Berserker on field, hit enemy with red card. Over and over and over. That's the strat, baby. And it will work. For probably up till about Camelot before we start running into any sort of actual Now then, let's see if we can get... Actually, I'm gonna do one thing here. Nation. We're gonna go to support setup. We're gonna make sure to put at least our Tamamo on there. Okay, let's put Gariel in there. We'll eventually have someone to put in there. But we're gonna put this together. And the reason for why is quite simple. It's just to make it look like we're actually stuff counts and everything like that. Make it show, hey, we're actually trying to, all these tools popping up. We're trying to level up our account and stuff. We'll throw a bunch of levels into MASH here. There we go. And the reason we're doing that is to hopefully throw a friend request at someone and get them to reciprocate. And you may ask, well, Thor, why do you want that friend request? Well, just follow them. Reason is simple. Friend request will allow me to use NP outside of the main story, and having that ability outside the main story once or twice will be if you just go, you know, throwing a friend request out, and you haven't leveled anything, you haven't touched your support list or anything like that, a lot of people will probably just kind of ignore you if you've just got the default level 1 mash and that's it on your list. And, you know, can you blame them? There's a lot of people that just start accounts and then don't use them or quit the game after trying it for a short period of time. Or maybe they just forget or whatever. Hell, maybe I'll have one of chat send me a friend request, their friend code. I can add them and guarantee it one person. But, as I was saying, you really want to kind of make yourself at least a tiny bit attractive when you're, searching for a friend. And I think a lot of people are willing to give people a try if it looks like they're actually trying their support list and trying with their account, and it seems like they're going to stick with it more than, you know, a day. So, if you just put in that tiny little extra effort to do a tiny bit with your support list, it'll probably pay off for you. So now we're gonna have an Argent Altar, we're gonna have at least one Morgan that we can work with. Both of them have enough NP starting to easily get their NP off, and that means that we're gonna be able to just kind of plow through the early game without any issue. Now, it's gonna take some time because we have to wait for, you know, all this stuff to go server, etc., etc. But it is what it is. See this? You see this guy level 100 with no craft essence equipped? Never do that. Never ever do that. Always have a craft essence equipped onto your servants on your friends list. Forever and always. Even if you have like a super well established account, even if like all of your servants are MP5, people are going to be less willing to put you on their friends list if you don't have any craft essence. It's actually kind of lucky we got Tamamo Cat, because having another Berserker that can deal some solid damage is going to help speed things up. And here you go. This right here is why you want Morgan or Arjun Altar, is because if you have a set of cards that might not clear, you can instead pop the MP, clear the way, no problem. On top of the fact that they're both very, 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 very strong and will have little to no problem with the actual bosses that we're going to run into. Now, if you're wondering about craft essences and the equipment of craft essence, generally the stuff you want to do is craft essence that start you at least at 50% starting Noble Phantasm charge. There's a lot of those, tons and tons and tons of them. Any attacker that you have should have that, or anything that is a support should generally have a craft essence equipped that increases the amount of bond points gained at the end of a quest. Well, your support should have the bond increase craft essence. Your attackers should have the NP charge starting craft essence. Because for the attackers in this game, generally the biggest thing to worry about is just get their MP off. If they NP, guess what? They're gonna kill the opponent. Simple. Whereas for your supports, their attack doesn't matter, so you just want them to either have some strong utility skill that helps out the rest of the crew, or some way, shape, or form to, skip enemy fade out on, confirm skill use on. There we go. Or you want the gain of something utility-based, whether it's bond points, that's the usual one, QP increase, drop rate increase, that kind of stuff. Stuff that helps people farm. That'll make people go, hey, that's nice that you've got that ready for me. I'm gonna increase my bond. Now, I've been talking about bond points a lot here, and why craft essence increase them good, but hey, I haven't actually explained what bond points are. Very simply, at the end of any quest that you do, you will gain bond points with every servant involved in that quest, both the front line and the 3 in the back line, even if they never see the field of battle. You'll gain bond points. Front line gains a little bit more than the back line. So the way that bond points are useful to... Why'd I even use that skill? Is that from bond level 1 through 5, that'll give you extra dialogue with your servant. You can go to my room, you can then talk to them, that servant in your my room, and then they'll give you that bonus dialogue that you get for bond leveling 1 through 5. After that, bond levels 6, 7, 8, and 9 will give you some sort of bonus, depending on the rarity of the servant. It could be Saint Quartz, it could be apples to restore your AP, or... Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Saint Quartz or apples at your AP. And, you know, extra Saint Quartz, some more pools is nice. Restoring your AP so that you can playing rather than run out. Also helpful. So it's nice there. At bond level 10, you get a special craft essence unique to whatever servant hits bond level 10. That is what the Heracles that I got before had. Most of those bond 10 craft essences are not very good. So it's a very, very, very small list of servants that you actually want those on. Heracles is the top of that list because his is extremely good. Some other ones are like Merlin, maybe Castor Artoria, but it's a very short list. Eventually Avenger Kuro when she's added to a couple years. Heracles is literally the first thing I said, Seneca. Pay attention. This will be on the test. So, now that's bonds 1 through 10. All in all, it's not the greatest rewards, just a little bit extra. But bond levels 11 through 15. Now those are the big ones. You need a special item called a Caldia Lantern in order to even unlock bond levels 11 through 15. But if you have that item and you use it, then what you get from that point on is every bond level from that point forward gives you 30 Saint Quartz. That's a 10 pull. That's a whole 10 pull. So obviously that means bond leveling is important because more Saint Quartz means more pools, means more servants, means more happy because you didn't have to spend money for that pool. That's why generally you want your support servants on your support list to be having the bond increase craft essences on them because people want to increase their bond. And honestly, right now doing this is a great time for us to do it because more often than not, there's not going to be a currently running banner that you're going to want to instantly pull on when you're playing the game. I'm just going to be very upfront with anyone that's new to the game here. I haven't talked about the summoning system too much right now, but let's address the elephant in the room. Fate Grand Order is stingy. The pull rates are not great. What it does have is the ability for everyone to clear the game without having to pull any of the rare servants, because the free servants are strong. But if you are someone that likes to pull, and if you are someone that wants to get those 5 stars and 4 stars, but you don't want to spend money, you're going to have to save up for a bit of time. The nice thing about playing on the NA server, or the English server, is that you don't have to worry about wondering what servant is coming out when, because you have a 2-year clairvoyance into the future of when servants get released and the generalized scheduling of the different banners that are going to come out. So, for example, I know for a fact that in a few months when the summer happens, I know exactly what servants are going to come out for that summer. I know who the anniversary event servant is. Speaking of which, if you want to get into FGO, the 2 best times are during the anniversary or during New Year's. Those are the absolute best times to be a new player to the game, because there's a lot of bonus stuff that you get. But if you want to, game's a bit louder than me, I'm sorry. But as I was saying, if you want to get started whenever you want, the fact of the matter is that it will give you a bit of extra time to save up some sync course for the future, and that could be nice for you, and it might get you a servant you couldn't get before. As for servants that you would want to pull on for when you're brand new, the best servants in the game to go for are simply support servants. You may be wondering, why support servants? Because generally the strongest way to play Fate Grand Order is to have 1 attacker and 2 supports on the field, where the supports are throwing all their buffs onto the attacker, and then the attacker does super big damage. If you split the buffs between multiple servants, you might not do enough damage. If you only have 1 servant that's supporting with 2 attackers, it can work. It just depends on how difficult the fight is. But with 2 servants supporting, you guarantee that you're going to have probably more than enough damage, extra NP regeneration, because support servants generally have NP generation skills, all that kind of stuff. Cherno, thank you for the raid. Hello, Raiders. I am doing a Fate Grand Order speedrun / tutorial for new players on how to get into the game. So if you want to learn how to catch up in Fate Go, or you feel like the game is too hard to catch up in, I'm going to dispel that entirely and show you that it's not that difficult to catch up for the most part. Hello, Cherno. Glad to have you. Be sure to punch the Cherno punching bag. So let's talk about the next mechanic, and that is, thanks for the follow, Diana, splitting cards. So if you use multiple cards of the same servant, that servant will continue attacking the same enemy until their cards run out, even if that enemy's dead. That can be useful sometimes. Sometimes you want maybe an extra arts card for some extra MP generation. But if you split the cards between servants instead, then Servant 1 kills the enemy in 1 hit, Servant 2 attacks the next enemy, kills it, and then Servant 1 back again kills the final enemy, the 3rd one. And that's what we've been doing for almost every fights, is splitting our cards like that. So that's generally what you're going to want to do in the early game because these enemies are super weak. If you have a single strong support servant, like I said, a Morgan Le Fay or a Arjuna Alter, you're going to be cruising through this early game no problem. And if you're lucky and get either a Tamamo Cat or a Heracles, which are both 4-star Berserkers as your free 4-star, then congratulations, you have 2 servants that are going to cruise through the early game really, really quick. And in the early game, you're not really going to have the support to... You're not really going to have the support servants to work with, so you're going to want to run just a bunch of Berserkers for the most part until it starts to get hard for them. Or grab Ku Alter and win. Ku Alter's another one that you can do. The reason I'm not suggesting him is that after part 1 of the game, Ku Alter just kind of sucks after that, to be perfectly honest. Because the game devs started adding lots of bypassing for evasion and invulnerability. And without the evasion on Ku Alter, he dies really easy. Like super duper easy. Morgan Le Fay outlives him easy. Arjuna Alter outlives him easily. And outdamages him. So that's why I didn't suggest him. That's why I suggested Heracles instead if you want a strong boss fighter on your support list. And that's why I found the Heracles, as long as he has the Castle of Snow craft essence equipped. Any other craft essence, that Heracles is worthless. Ignore it. Castle of Snow equipped? Alright, now we're talking. That Heracles gets to do stuff. And yeah, as Scarmat put it down below, the reason that Heracles is the best servant to start with is because he's just the one that's going to scale the best at the end of the day of your 4-star choices in the tutorial summon. So you want to start getting his bond up. Once he gets to bond 10, he becomes an absolute monster of a servant, and prior to that, he's okay. Not great. But once he gets it, he's great. He becomes he becomes the anchor at the end of your team for every boss fight. And the reason for it, for anyone wondering, is because that craft essence gives him 3 guts on top of his 1 guts already for 4 guts. And by the time that 4th guts runs out, his guts cooldown for the spell is going to be up again, so he will have 5 guts. And for anyone that doesn't know, Guts is the mechanic in this game that lets you just ignore death. You will respawn with however much HP your specific Guts skill will respawn you with. 1 HP, 1000 HP, 100 HP, doesn't matter. You're cheating death. And the reason that's important on any servant, but especially a Berserker, is that Berserkers are easily killed because of their class. We'll talk about classes in a sec. So having them be able to cheat death and stay alive when they should die instead, very helpful. So let's talk about classes in FGO, because, I mean, the gameplay's. So the reason we're using a Berserker for everything is that Berserkers have a 1.5 times damage multiplier against every class in the game except 2, I should say. Technically doesn't have that against Shielder, but unless you're fighting MASH, there are no other Shielders in the game. It's really, really, really uncommon for you to actually have to fight MASH. However, if you're using MASH, you should know that Berserkers will not deal extra damage to you. And the other class is an extra class called Foreigner that actually has advantage against Berserker that will do 2 times damage and take half damage. However, for every other class in the game, Berserkers both deal 1.5 times damage and take 1.5 times damage from. Which means that we're doing bonus damage and easily clearing stuff. On top of that, Berserkers generally have a higher attack stat and a lower defense stat, making them completely built towards Unga Bunga, me press red card, you die. That's why they're the best class to grab a strong support friend on in the game when you're just starting the game, because you will absolutely murder everything, as you can see. As for the other classes, they work on a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors system. We'll just go through all the main classes right now because we're not going to see a single extra class until we get past part 1. And that's a long way away. So, you have your Saber, Archer, and Lancer work at rock, paper, scissors against each other. Saber beats Lancer, Lancer beats Archer, Archer beats Saber. Simple enough. Then you have Rider, Caster, and Assassin, which are another rock, paper, scissors. Rider beats Caster, Caster beats Assassin, Assassin beats Rider. And when I say beats, that means they do 2 times damage and take half damage from and facing that class. So that is usually the thing that you're going to use to decide how you form your party for an outing. Usually, you're going to be like, oh, there's a bunch of sabers that are there. There's the saber tag on this particular quest. I'm going to bring archers. Or there's the rider tag on this quest. I'm going to bring assassins. But when the enemies are sufficiently weak, as they are now, instead, I'm going to bring Unga, and then I'm going to Bunga the class. Because it's fast. And when the cards don't line up for me too well, actually these cards, we can always press that MP button just to clear instant. Oh shit, she didn't have enough damage. Shocking. Rip. She didn't have enough damage because we started with an arts card instead of a buster card. Still should have had enough, that's so weird. And hi, Loki Scarlet. How are you? Bring big number and bonk your way to victory. Yep. So yeah, that's why I'm taking the time to also make this into a tutorial while we play through this, because I don't gotta pay attention to the gameplay on screen. The gameplay on screen is I press red button on my berserkers and the enemies turn to dust. That's how it's gonna be for a bit of time before we have to start using our noggin. By the way, I know this might be coming kind of late. I know I was saying that Heracles is the best servant that you can start with from the batch of servants in the first 3 summoning you get. And you might be like, oh, does that mean all the others suck? Not really. Not entirely. Some of them do suck, I'll be honest with you. But most of them are perfectly fine. Not necessarily amazing, but not terrible either. Unless you get Marie Antoinette. She is absolutely worthless. She's terrible. So, just saying. But, the reason I say not to worry about it too much is because I guarantee that pretty much any of those starting 4 stars, except maybe Heracles, are going to not be used by you within maybe a couple months of game time. Once you do your first big summoning and get a couple of that are like really meta, and you can be completely free to play and still get those meta servants. The game does kind of drown you in pools. If you're brand new to it and put the time in, the game will just shove a bunch of summons in your pocket over the course of the going through part 1. And you'll have more than enough opportunity to get a couple of the more meta servants. So if you don't get the best servant on your starting first pool, again, don't worry about it too much. There's more than enough time for you to get the good stuff. And if you get Heracles, then you've got someone who counts as the good stuff. But let me tell you, even Heracles isn't the best of the best. He's even kind of outscaled by others. But he's very strong, so, you know, if you want to reroll for him, go for it. Now, as for what servants to actually pull through for, I think I mentioned this earlier and didn't finish my thought because we got raided. Sorry about that. I'm going to give you a quick list of servants to do your pulls for when you're brand new to focus on. If these following servants are not on the pool banner, and you care at all about pulling something meta and having something strong, ignore the pool banner until one of the following servants in this list comes up. All right, get yourself a pad and paper, take down some notes. Their names are as follows. Morgan Le Fay, who is currently on a banner as I'm doing this, so she's great to pull. Number 2, Arjuna Alter. Those are the 2 best attacking servants in the entire game as of right now. Hence why they are on the list here. And then the rest are all going to be supports, because, like I said before, supports are the absolute best thing for you to get in this game. They are the most useful thing. So, for supports, for you to pull, the number 1, this is the highest priority servant in the entire game. Castoria, aka Castor Artoria. Castor Altria is the name they use. Altria makes me gag on my tongue when I say it, so I try not to. She is the best servant in the game as of the time that I am recording this. By a lot. It's not even close. She is infinitely the best servant. She, like, if every other servant, if the next best servants are at the S tier, she is 10 S's. That's how good she is. So she is top priority servant in the entire game. Which means, you know, look forward, look into the future, because you're allowed to, on like a wiki or something, on when this next summoning banner for her is coming up, and then pull her. You want her. You really, really do. And you know, just wait for those banners, sit on your gathering think courts and tickets, and then do the pulls then. You can be really miserly. That's actually what I do in this game, as I don't really spend much, if any, money on my main account, and I still have plenty of 5-star servants, plenty of 4-star servants, just because I wait until a banner that I really like comes up, and then I have, like, I don't know, 1,000 Saint Courts to work with, and I can guarantee that 5-star that I want. Okay, next top-tier servant. That is super high priority. Koyanskaya of the Light. This is they're very important, because there are 2 Koyanskayas. There's Koyanskaya of Darkness and Koyanskaya of Light. Well, Koyanskaya of Light. The reason being is that she is the best buster support for anything other than a boss fight. So, those are the top 2 supports. The next best supports are both good for boss fights. And that's about it. They're not good for stuff other than boss fights for the most part. They are Merlin. That's right, Merlin. You know Merlin. Mage of Flowers, half incubus, loves giving people dicks for memes. The reason you want him is he is a phenomenally good boss fight support and will give longevity and fighting power to your lineup. He is also a buster support, but even if you're not using a buster servant, he's still very good. And the other one is Lady Avalon, which is female Merlin. He's not out on an A yet, but as of this recording, in a couple months when the summer event comes, she'll be right out. So if you're watching this and that summer event has come and gone, congratulations, you have something to look for. She is also Merlin, and extremely good for boss fight support. But whereas regular male Merlin is your buster support, Lady Avalon, female Merlin, is an arts support. And you might be sitting there thinking, whoa, 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 Thor, hold on. Buster support, art support. What constitutes whether a servant is a buster servant or an art servant or a quick servant? And it's very, very simple. Very, very, very simple. Missed the first support, Caster Artoria. Caster Ultria, it'll say in game, but saying Ultria hurts physically. Anyway, as I was droning on, your big supports to look for are Caster Artoria, Oyenskaya of Light, not of darkness, of light, Merlin, and Lady Avalon. Those are the big four that you're going to look for. Those are the top 4 best servants in the game. Now, there are... If you like quick servants, I'm gonna suggest that you don't like quick servants because quick are the weak servants. But if you like quick servants for whatever reason, and you want quick servants to work, I'll tell you the name of the quick servant supports. They are as follows. Skaha Skadi and Skaha Skadi. Swimsuit summer version. That's right, you get 2 versions of the same support as your possible quick support. And neither of them are good for boss fights. They're only good for 3-turn farming, and they're worse than Caster Artoria or Koyansky of the Light at 3-turn farming. So yeah, quick is not good. Quick remains not good 2 years in the future in JP land. Quick is probably going to continue to remain not good for a long time. Oh my god, look at the budget! Budget! They paid forward at least 75 cents and 3 shoestrings for that budget, baby. Hell yeah. What a cutscene. So, once more on servants that you want to pull. The number 1 priority, Caster Artoria. The number 2 priority, Koyansky of the Light. The number 3 priority, Morgan Le Fay. In that order. Those are the top 3 in that order. Now, you can absolutely get Morgan Le Fay first, or Koyansky of the Light first, but you really want to make sure that if one of the other banners is coming up, you can get them. After that, if you already have Morgan Le Fay, you can skip Arjuna Alter. If you don't have Morgan Le Fay, Arjuna Alter is right next to her. The exact same amount of priority. They're both pretty much as good as each other. I think Morgan Le Fay is slightly better, but it's by such a tiny amount, it doesn't matter. You have either one of those, you have a very, very strong 5-star Berserker. And look at that! We're already done with Fuyuki. Beautiful. That being said, we've got a cutscene to play and everything like that, so we're not entirely done. But the tutorial's almost over. Go us. After that, your next priority is Merlin or Lady Avalon. Merlin works better if you got the Koyansky of the Light and work with Buster servants. Lady Avalon works better if you are working with Art servants and have the Castoria Altar. They work with each other. And then, only if you really like quick servants, you go for Skaha Skadi Caster or Skaha Skadi Ruler. Otherwise, you just kind of ignore them. Hey, look, they actually put budget into this. Now this is budget. Hell yeah. It also has a great song. I'm gonna get copyright struck just for playing this for you, chat. Don't pay attention to it. No, I gotta cover the screen. I don't care if they mark this video. Anyway, I think I got sidetracked earlier, but let me re-go over what determines what is a Buster, a Quick, or an Art Servant. It is their MP. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be what their MP is. If their MP card is a Buster card, they're a Buster Servant. Quick card, they're a Quick Servant. Arts card, they're an Art Servant. with minor exception. There will be some exception where their MP doesn't deal any damage, but instead does something like buff themselves, or buff the whole field, or anything like that, or be some sort of defensive thing. Those then are either support servants, like what I said before with Merlin or Artoria, I meant, who don't deal damage with their MPs, but instead support the field. Meanwhile, there are some that will support themselves and are big damage-dealing servants because they have a lot of buffs for themselves. But they aren't an arts, buster, or quick servant traditionally, and they work with their cards to deal damage instead of their MP. They're usually known as crit servants. Or some people just like to refer to them as Unga Bunga servants. One servant called Superman Orion is a example of that. Oh my god, I have 107 pop-ups going on. Let's go through a few of those. Let's actually grab our stuff while we're here. So, this is your present box. Your present box will get stuff every single day. This is where you get your login bonuses and stuff like that. Generally with this game, you log in, you get your bonuses, you log out, and congratulations, you're pretty much good to go. In fact, I can just hit receive all here, because we're going to grab everything. Got no, not grab this stuff. And for beating Fuyuki, we get a free Kukulin. And he's got a cool hoodie on. He's actually a pretty solid servant. Aster Ku is pretty darn good. Now, exchange tickets. These are a thing you get every day of the month. You can exchange them for one of 3 different materials. You can hold on to them for, as you can see, 115 days. So, if anything, you can wait until time is running out, or wait until you need any of these 3 different materials that are being offered, and then use them. In fact, we'll just hold on to it right now. No problem. Now, as for this clipboard next to the box, these are your missions. They are daily, weekly, extra. This is going to be all your tutorial stuff. You're going to get a bunch of these. In fact, we've got a bunch of these. I'm going to hit receive all on the button there, and it'll give you a list of everything you're going to receive. I'm just going to grab them. And it'll give you a receipt result as well, where it's going to be itemized for you. And all this tutorial stuff is very, very helpful because it gives us stuff that'll help us make our servants stronger and get a bit start. Then we've got limited time stuff, which is generally, hey, here are some very simple different quests that you can do. And as long as you do them nice within their time limit, you get the bonuses. Anything that has this background here with the kind of extra flashy colors is the bonuses you're going to get for being a new player. We're going to receive everything for, because why not? And then your weeklies, this is stuff that's going to be longevity for you. Every time you complete a weekly mission, you get these things. St. Quartz fragments. And the way St. Quartz fragments work is, if we go to the fragment exchange right there, every 7 of them gives you 1 St. Quartz. So we can get 5 more right now. And we're now going to go to summoning pit, the summoning. And this is between friend points and St. Quartz summons. So if we go to the left, this is all the way to the right if you look at the bottom where the boxes are. Friend point summons. Every day you get 1 free 10 times friend point summon, and I suggest while you are brand new, you definitely make use of this. So we're going to do that. Automatic burning. If we look at this, this will automatically burn the rarity of either servant XP, foes, or CE that come to you in the friend point summon. I would say for now, you probably don't want to auto burn anything, but in the future, once your account is more established, I would personally auto-burn all Servant XP, every Foe XP except 3-star, and every CE except 3. And hell, even the Foe 3-stars, when you're really established, you don't even need those. You can burn those too. So, we're going to just get what we can, do our friend point summon, and we're going to hope for a couple of servants that would help us a lot in the future to show up. I'm looking for Asterios and Hans Christian Andersen, and any more copies of Uriel. Those are the 3 best servants for us to get. Matahari is not one of those 3. Oh well, what can you do? Hey, you know what? St. Georgios, that's another really good one. We're happy with that one. We're very happy with that one. And the reason we're happy with that one is that Georgios here is a taunter. And he can taunt the enemy onto himself rather than letting them hit our squishier berserkers, which is something we're going to want in the future. So we're just going to do another 10 pull. Ooh, let's do another friend point summon. There are a bunch of different servants that we can get here, being a completely brand new account. Charlotte Corday, not the best servant. Gareth, she's a taunter. I'm happy with that. You may be wondering, Thor, why are you so happy for taunters? Taunting is kind of rare in this game. There's not a whole lot of servants that have it as a skill, and very, very, very few craft essences that have taunting in them. So having taunters is a little bit rare. Oh wait, why am I going out there? We actually have enough for us to do a 10 pull. And I think we'll do it on the Morgan ban. Are we going to get Morgan? Probably not. Let me go over real quick. If you ever hit summon info, this will give you the info on the pulls. Now, this is going to tell you a lot of gobbledygook, and it'll tell you the drop rate is 0.8%, 1.5% there, yada, 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 yada. This lets you know what the chances of you getting that specific servant are. Like, for example, right now Morgan Le Fay is on rate up, so she's a 0.8% rather than a 0.006%. So the rate up is a lot better than the normal rate. It's still not great, but it's a lot better than the normal rate. But there is a pity in the game. It's a harsh pity. It's a really, really harsh pity. If you do the equivalent of 900 St. Courts worth of summons, that's 30 10 pulls, aka 300 summons. You are guaranteed the 5-star on rate up on the banner. Guaranteed, 100%. As long as you don't have a copy of it. I think if you have a copy of it, then it's just complete RNG. Now, chances are that you're going to get the servant prior to that, but it does help prevent, if you are extremely unlucky, from you not getting it within a somewhat reasonable time. It's still not very reasonable. It's still a bad pity, but it's something. It used to not exist, so there's that. Anyway, we're going to do this 10 pull and see what we get. Archer David, he's solid. He's not bad. Robin Hood, he's quite good. Boudica, she is terrible. Mephistopheles, he is terrible. Holy shit, I can't believe it. Wow. My saber face powers. My saber face powers have once more summoned Morgan to my side. So just I guess as an aside, I'm good at pulling saber faces. I'm really consistent at pulling saber faces. And Morgan's a saber face. So here she is. In fact, she's my most pulled servant in the entire game. Across my JP and NA accounts. My most pulled 5-star servant in the whole game by a lot. She's MP5 on both. To the point where I would pull for something else, and then she would show up and be like, hello, I'm here.
私お前
Okay. Well, that's pretty freaking lucky. That's pretty freaking lucky. Wow. I was not expecting that even a tiny bit.
ようこそダヴィンチちゃんの強化ラボへ
Now, there's one more thing for us to go
お一
over,
人様ご案内
still in the tutorial,
ゆっ
so
く
we
りしてい
haven't
って
gone
くれ
past
たまえ
Fuyuki, and that is if you go to the shop as a new player, you have this special 5-star
特別召喚
servant
の部屋
summon
によう
available
こ
to
そ
you, where you
た
have
った一度だけだが特に
Da
優れた
Vinci,
霊気を持つ
shut
サ
up,
ー
I'm
バン
talking.
トを君のもとに届けよう
damn it, Maya
足りてい
Sakamoto.
ないクラスを補充するか
Anyway,
第一印象の直感を信じるか
as I was saying, you are
どちらに
guaranteed
せよ
one of these
よく考
5
えて
stars
選んで
in
くれ
this list.
長い付き合いになるだろうから
I
ね
will give you a quick overview on which ones are good and why they're good. Altera, Artoria Pendragon, and Mordred, all three of these sabers are good. They're good because they are Buster, AoE sabers with charges that make it easy for them to AoE, and good NP game. All three are good. Orion is bad. Arjuna is bad. Nikola Tesla is very, very good. He has a good NP charge for himself, good AoE damage, he's strong. Napoleon is good, not as good as Nikola Tesla. He has similar stuff to Tesla, but weaker. Karna is solid, but not amazing. He's a little bit on the weaker side. Artoria Pendragon Lancer, also a little bit on the weaker side. And Kido is very good. Single target Lancer, great for boss fights. However, you're not looking to care about boss fights when you're on a brand new account for the most part. Bradamante is bad. Ignore her. Francis Drake is solid for AoE Buster, and she has a good self-charge. She's not particularly strong, though, so she's okay. She's better than plenty of others, but not amazing. Queen Maeve is, again, okay. She's single target as opposed to AoE, so I would ignore her. Ozymandias is very good. He's single target. I'd personally ignore him when you're brand new. Quetzalcoatl, not very good. Achilles is a good AoE servant, but he's also quick. I'd ignore him. Europa is weak. I'd ignore her. Zhuge Liang, aka Lord El Meloui II, is extremely good. He is one of the top supports in the game, not quite at the level as the ones I said are high priority, but he's very, very good. I highly suggest him for your new account. Tamamo no Maya Caster is also extremely good. However, she is better for boss fights as opposed to anything else. She is an arts support boss fighter that is slightly worse than Lady Avalon when she comes out, or slightly better depending on what you're looking to do. And it really comes down to how good Tamamo's Noble Phantasm is, which is very good, and how much you need one of its effects, which is lowering the cooldown of all the skills of your servants. So I can also highly recommend her, but I think Zhuge Liang is better. Sanzong is a very good single target caster damage dealer. I would suggest ignoring her because single target and new account. Scheherazade is a solid AoE caster. I would still suggest ignoring her. Anastasia is a solid AoE caster as well, but I would suggest ignoring her for now. Again, this, you can grab whatever you want. You know, if one of these is like, I really fucking like that design, get it. None of these are particularly bad servants. Jack the Ripper is pretty good, actually, still, as a 5-star assassin. She's still pretty up there on the tier list. Single target, very strong, quick assassin. I would still probably skip out on her for now. Osakabe Hime is technically a support, but she actually sucks. She's, so far, the weakest servant on this list by a lot. Li Shuen Assassin is pretty solid, as long as you have support for him. He's a single-target arts assassin. If you're new, I would ignore him. Vlad III is a single-target arts berserker. He's very strong. I would still ignore him. Ku Alter is an extremely powerful, early game at least, single-target berserker that after part 1 is done, after you've beaten Solomon, starts to lose more and more value over time and gets weaker and weaker as the game starts kind of power creeping the main mechanic that makes him strong. It's multiple hits of evasion that last for ever. But for just clearing part 1, he's extremely good. He will absolutely dominate part 1 for you. It won't even be slightly difficult. That's how good he is. After part 1, he falls off a cliff. Simple as that. Florence Nightingale is a support berserker, which works about as well as you'd expect when your support takes bonus damage. It's not particularly good. She's pretty weak. Zhang Yu is an AoE quick berserker. I would suggest ignoring him. He's not very strong. He looks really cool, but he's not very strong. Joan d'Arc Ruler used to be really good, but then power creep happened and now she sucks. Ignore her. Chitonai is a very strong single target arts focused alter ego. She is quite good. I would still ignore her as a new account. And the Great Stone Statue God is solid, but not amazing, and is an offensive tank. Yeah, offensive tank is about right for her. But, again, I would ignore her. For 99% of the people out there, I would pick either Waver here, Zhuge Liang, or Tamamo no Mai. 99.99% of the time, one of these two is the best choice for you. I'm just going to pick Waver right there. It's free. Get him in my present box. And I would prioritize, if you do pick Waver, getting him leveled up and ascended pretty quickly, because unlocking all 3 of his skills is kind of important. So you have to perform Ascension 3 times to get that 3rd skill, because every one of his skills charges NP gauge for allies, along with giving buffs, either offensive or defensive. So he's really, really, really good as a support because of that. He is also an all-round support. He doesn't prioritize arts, quick, or buster. He just does straight up attack and defense and crit damage. Now here's the thing I have to decide between, is leveling up Morgan or Waver. Because I'm this early in the game, and we're just getting into Orleans after this, I'm gonna prioritize Morgan with level ups over anyone else right now. If you don't have a strong attacker that I suggest pulling for to start with, like Morgan or Arjuna Alter, I would instead prioritize Zhuge Liang, Waver, or Mash. That being said, Mash has a pretty low max level to start with, so it would be very, very easy to tap her and then just kind of save up on XP. Didn't they add a free last ascension to a servant on the game for new accounts? Did they? Oh, special ascension. As a new master, you have been granted the authority to perform I actually have never read this before, so let's go through it together. You may choose one servant to enhance to final ascension regardless of their current level without expending materials or QP. Special ascension has a 90-day time limit. Please note that special ascension here once the... Wow, I did not know we had that. Well, look at that. Well, let's just max ascend Morgan. I wasted some XP, but fuck it. This will give me 2 extremely powerful attackers. See, this is why you go around and you read this stuff when you're... Look at that, we can just get her straight to level 80 for final ascension? Hell yeah. Let's enjoy her lovely voice. Blue Bomber, I'd suggest that if your Morgan is close to max ascension already, probably not. Use Garner. Oh boy, we're gonna absolutely savage this game. This game's gonna get demolished. No, I've never heard this dialogue. I'm sorry, we're a shitty mage.
マスター。さあ、望む戦場に連れて行きなさい。期待以上、想像以上の破滅を与えます。私は妖精妃モルガン。支配することでしかあなたの行為に応えられない女です。
I love a woman that could just fuck.
仕上がりはどう？細かな変化でも成長は成長だ。
So, hey, let me just go back to this. If you go to the Enhanced tab and go to Noble Phantasm, this is a mechanic of the game. If you have more than one copy of a servant, take the servant that you already have some levels in. Well, we'll use Tamamo Cat as an example here. Fucker as well. Take the servant you already have levels in. Go to Enhancement, unlock the low level one, and then, bada bing, bada boom, look at that. Their NP level goes up. There are 5 Noble Phantasm levels that you can go through at max level. Going from 1 to 2 gives you the biggest boost, as big of a boost as going from 2 to 5. So NP2 is already more than everything you'll need 9 times out of 10. Going any further than that is mostly vanity for funsies or you get lucky, that kind of stuff. Except for friend point servants, those will always get to NP5 eventually because friend points are a dime a dozen. But for any 4-star, 5-star servants, anyone with a gold border like this, getting it just to NP2 is already really, really good. And you probably will never, ever need it any higher. In fact, NP1 is usually enough to function no problem whatsoever. The difference is that when you get to NP2, it unlocks your MP gauge max to 200%, which means you can charge past 100%. And the reason that's important, or useful, is because sometimes there are enemies that can drain your MP charge, and if you can't go above 100%, they can take you down from 100% and move your MP for the next turn. It also gives you a huge boost to the damage and the base effects, and then you get very diminishing returns, and going from 2 to 5 is about the same as 1 to 2. But make sure you do actually do your NP increasing. There's no reason not to. If you have any servants that can increase their MP and you have any reason whatsoever to ever use them on the field, increase their MP. Simple. Now, I don't really plan on using Charlotte Corday or Mata Hari. They're not particularly strong servants, so we'll just move along. And that, I think, is a great start to this. Fuyuki done, our tutorial is done. I might split the video here to upload to YouTube and stuff because, I mean, it looks like it's probably going to take me about an hour per section here. Maybe a little less because I'm taking time to explain things for tutorializing. But for now, that's a good finish point for Fuyuki. And boop.